What's up, friends? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. I am so excited to have some poshers on with me who attended, spoke, right? Everyone was a speaker or Randy was a closet console and then a speaker. Nina's supposed to be here. She's having some technical difficulties, but everyone spoke or was at Posh Fest. We're going to be talking about Posh Fest. If you guys have questions that regarding Posh Fest or anything in general, very knowledgeable resellers that I'm going to have on today, but we're going to be focusing on Posh Fest was last week, kind of what came out of Posh Fest, what they learned, what was going on, any tea that they have to share, all of the details of Posh Fest. So while we wait, we're supposed to have Nina. She was having some technical difficulty, so we'll see if she hangs on. If you guys are watching this live with us, leave a comment. Let me know who is here. I see Beth is here. She is a new member. I did add memberships to my YouTube a couple weeks ago, so there's 3 different levels, and Randy's a member too. There's 3 different levels, and you can see it on my YouTube channel if you guys wanted to join for a little bit more support in reselling. I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves a little bit, tell us a little bit about you, maybe what you did at Posh Fest, and then, a little bit about your reselling background.
Sure, I'll go first. My name is Karina, aka Per Diem Thrift. I was making a joke this whole weekend because I guess a lot of people don't know my first name is Karina, so people are just like Per Diem Thrifts, Per Diem Thrifts. I was like, maybe I should just change my name, and they would like apologize and be like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'll answer to whatever. It's my handle. It's like my second name.
But where did it come from? I'm always interested in people's names.
I was taking an accounting class in college because I thought I wanted to be an accountant. I didn't. I ended up not, obviously. But I learned the term in that. So like per diem is like an allowance you can get per day or like a spending allowance. But instead I kind of took it and I took it as like whatever style you want that day. Like I don't have a set style. So it's like, okay, if I want to be grungy one day or preppy one day or, athletic one day. And then it also has transformed into like my life now. So it's like today I need to be mom. Today I need to be posher. Today I need to be YouTuber. Today I need to be store owner. So just per diem, taking life per diem and doing whatever you need to do that day to reach your goals. But yeah. At Posh Fest, I spoke on a panel with Amanda Wise, Ray Run Love on Instagram, and a woman from Google or from YouTube. I can't remember her name. I think it's like Kate something. But we talked about connection through content or something like that, creating content through YouTube. There was a real big emphasis on YouTube Shorts, which I know, Sarah, you do a lot of. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We got through maybe like 25% of what we were actually going to speak on. So I'm hoping to make some more content sharing all the other things that we needed to talk about. But yeah, it was a lot of fun and I'm glad I went. It was my second Posh Fest.
What did you guys not get through it because so I've done Posh Fest virtual. I've never done it in person.
Yeah.
And so obviously you're in person and it was live. So were people asking you questions and that's why you didn't get through it, or you're just getting deeper into the conversations then?
There were people shouting out questions. So like in the virtual ones, like nobody can really interrupt you. You see all the comments, but nobody can interject on what you have to say. And so, yeah, we just had a lot to say and kept answering questions, which honestly, it feels better. It feels more like we're helping them with what they need at that moment. But yeah, there were a lot more things that we could have gone on talking about, like just how to create content, how to get started, things like that, kind of the basics. So yeah, I and it's only an hour. Like you literally only get maybe 45 minutes. Actually, they ended ours short because it was something after. So I think we got maybe 40 minutes to talk, and you're sharing the stage with 4 people, and we all have a lot to say. So.
And that's a big topic too. Like it's the social media aspect of it and how to, especially because you're talking YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, there's so many different aspects. And now like Poshmark technically is also social media itself, and you have the YouTube or the lives that are coming, and which we'll get into, friends, everyone out there, we will get into the lives because I know that's probably a pretty big topic. I would imagine that went down at Posh Fest. So Randy, you were a closet consult, right?
Yes.
So people could come to you. Do they have to sign up ahead? They could come to you and you would kind of review their closet?
Yeah, so the way it works is when you checked in for registration at Posh Fest, you get your credentials, and then there was a separate table for 2 different days of closet consultants. So I'm guessing they had between 30 and 60 closet consultants booked to try to accommodate everybody that wanted their closet reviewed, but it was split. So if you got asked to be a closet consultant, you didn't necessarily have to do it both days. You were one day or the other. The first day went pretty good, so they asked some people to stay, but at that time I was getting super hangry, so I bolted out immediately after.
How long were you there, like all day doing it?
No. Okay, so here's the thing, like there is a lot of good to be said for Posh Fest, but it could be so much better. And I'm picking up on what she's saying, and that it kind of feels like a little bit rushed or like surfacey, and we tend to want to go deeper into like business and all of that. I saw her speak. I'm glad she made it.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
No worries. I'm glad you got here. Are you on your phone?
I am on my iPad. So.
Oh, if you turn it sideways, it should make you like a bigger screen.
Let's see. Cause
sorry,
if
Randy.
I turn side. Oh,
there we go. We made it.
Sorry, guys. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties. You would think I would know how to mess with this stuff by now.
Oh no, we're good. So, Randy, you're thinking
all reselling platforms down, YouTube and stream whatever, not so much.
Oh, I know. It's a struggle.
So it wasn't all day. So basically my session was 11:10 to noon, and then noon to 1 is lunch. And they Poshmark is kind of funny about it. They give you a trifold brochure, and they're basically like, go over this checklist. So to me, that seems really sterile. So I'm like, hey, here's the printed guide that Poshmark gives you, but what exactly where are you at in your journey, and what do you need help with your closet? So I let them kind of cater it, because anybody can read a brochure. So we did that. But yeah, they wanted us to stick to the brochure, and they wanted us to keep them at 15 minutes. And when 15 minutes was up, they basically cut you off in the middle of it and sent them on their way.
Oh, that's a bummer. Was there a lot of people that signed up for it? Was it like a lot of like newer poshers spent the money to go?
Yes and no. I only had time to talk to 3 people, which is crazy, because you would think we would be able to do more. But at a 15-minute increments and a 50-minute set, that's only 3 people. Right. That's why they have so many of them. But there was people all over in their journey. And my first girl specialized in bikinis from Australia. She was pulling over 6 figures. She's only been doing this a few years. And so at first I was like, I am not yet a 6-figure seller. So why am I consulting this person? Yeah. But I said, let me look at your closet, and all kinds of basics being missed. Titling, background removal. So people are just kind of all over in their journey, and we can all learn from each other. The second person I had been 4 months new, brand new, not making many sales, wanted to know more, didn't know how to use the share all feature, and that you could just see the relief on her face once I shared. And then the third person was like right in the middle, but very, very shy to go live on Posh shows. So had more concerns about that. So it was more about the reselling journey, not necessarily just, Poshmark. Yes, exactly.
That's interesting. And Karina, you had mentioned, like, you kind of shook your head too. Did it seem like there was a lot of, it just blows my mind that you're a new seller and you're going to spend the money like a new casual type seller. And it's a lot of money to like go there, take the week off. And
it is a lot. It was really funny though, because somebody came up to me and they recognized me and they said hi. So I said hi, and then another person came up and they were like, I hope this isn't a dumb question, but how does everyone know each other? I was like, oh, we like social media. We're all like, we all connect on social media, on Instagram. Some of us have been here before. But I remember also in one of the classes, they asked how many people, it was their first time, and like 70% of the room raised their hand. It was crazy. But I will say, after attending both 2019 and both of the virtual Posh Fests that have happened in the past couple of years, the information that they're sharing, it is basic information. It is catered to the newer reseller. So that's why a lot of older resellers who I feel like have been going to all the Posh Fests, they didn't come this year because they knew they weren't going to gain anything out of it. So yes, it's kind of weird that a new person would spend all that money to go to Posh Fest, but they're the ones who are benefiting from it the most. I feel like
with that because the virtual ones that I've only done virtual, but even that I was like, well, I don't think I learned anything.
Yeah, exactly. I make more I get more education talking to Team Posh, talking to other resellers during the networking sessions versus inside of a class. That's why when I do speak at these events, I try to give it as much value as I can because I want people to walk away with something and not just feel like it was a waste of their time.
Yeah, agreed. And I would be interested if we're gonna level it up a little bit. Oh, I'm echoing. Who has me on? I'm echoing. Echo. Oh, we're good. Nina, I know you were on the main stage, which is super exciting, and you've spoken before. Who has me on? You hear it? Am I hearing it?
I hear the
I
echo
think it's
too.
Nina.
Oh, okay. I'm like, is it just me who hears it? Is it? I could be possible that it's me. So Nina, you were on the main stage. You have spoke before, and it was in your hometown as well, which is kind of nice. If it was in Denver, I probably would have gone. I'm like, I'm not trying to fly anywhere. So tell us a little bit about your session, what you spoke about. If there are people joining us, do feel free to ask questions as well. Let us know who is here in the comments. But Nina, tell us a little bit about your reselling journey and kind of what your session was about.
Right. Are we good? Because every time I would hit the mic off, I would hear the echo. That was probably me putting the mic on.
Nope.
It's only when someone else talks.
Okay. So we're good. Okay. So first off, I'm Nina, last quarter shop, and I spoke this year at Posh Fest. It's actually the second time speaking. I spoke at the one in 2020. That one was virtual. And this one I spoke about community empowerment, and I think that was the gist of it. I can't remember the official name. It was community empowerment, though. That was kind of the thing, talking about community, and I felt that was something that I could talk about because I'm sorry, what's your name? Per diem thrifts, Karina? Okay. Karina, you spoke about this being more for newer poshers, and someone asked you, how does everybody know each other, and it's because of that community, social media, and all that. So yeah, this was I don't know what else you asked, Sarah. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold right now, so my head's kind of clogged.
Oh, wait, I'm on mute. Oh, you're all good. I tried to mute because I was getting some feedback, so I didn't know if it was us. No, you're good. I think we're just going to get into it. I think what a lot of people probably want to know if they did not watch Posh Fest is the hackathon. That's at least what I'm interested in. What new features do we have? What new things are they telling us to do? What things can we learn that came out of it? And then we can get into some other things if people have questions, or we want to talk a little bit more in depth about your guys' sessions. But that's kind of what I'm interested in, is the hackathon. I tried to watch some of it on their social media, on their YouTube, and the mic it was really hard to hear. You could hear like the background noise in the room as well. So I'm actually interested too, because I know one or two things that came out of it, but if you guys want to share what came. So if you're new to Poshmark, every year they do a hackathon, and this is like their new features or rolling out new things. So what new things can we expect, or new strategies, new things changing, going back to previous ways? Oh, you guys, I muted everyone. Hold on, let me unmute
I
you.
unmuted it.
Oh, okay.
I was talking to Sarah about this earlier, but the thing that they were pushing the most is the Posh shows, the Posh live shows. There were like live demo sales. I walked in the fashion show during the Posh Fest party, and the items that we were wearing, they were auctioning off on a Posh show at the same time. And they invited everyone who attended this Posh Fest and last year's Posh Fest to be part of the beta program. So in case you guys are watching this and you guys don't really know why you can't join, it's because they've extended the invitation only to a limited amount of people first while they kind of iron out the kinks. And then later on, it'll be available to everyone. But they were kind of showing us best practices. But if you guys sell on Whatnot, or if you've done live sales in the past, it's pretty much the same, and Poshmark is just kind of catching up. But I know I just saw somebody post that Amazon announced that they're doing live selling too.
Really?
Yeah, so I guess that's just that's just how the world is going now. I don't
On Amazon, I'm not a live. Do you guys buy in live sales?
I do.
You do? Okay. Okay. So maybe it's just me. Nina?
I have not bought in live shows, but I've actually been checking them out a lot more recently because I know this whole fad with live shows started with Whatnot, and Whatnot has already been around for a while, but I was kind of like, I don't really care for that, but it looks like I'm gonna get forced into that anyways. So I've viewed a couple just to see what it's all about, and I'm like, okay, how can I make this a part of my business and do this? So I'm kind of thinking, brainstorming, because I know eventually this is probably going to be the new way of selling. But of course, you're still going to have your people who refuse to watch the lives, because I was in the Poshmark group today on Facebook and people were complaining about it. So you're still going to have those people who want to do the traditional shopping and refuse to go live, but then you have those people who are more of the impulse buyers who will go into a live and start bidding on stuff. So doing both, you'll have a mix of different buyers, and you'll get both kind of buyers in that way.
So Megan in the chat is asking if we know when, and Karina said she wasn't sure in the chat. Do they have any kind of rollout for everybody? No. And I'm wondering, like, scheduling wise too. So I'm kind of with Nina. I don't want to do it. I'm going to tell you, I'm old. I don't want to change my ways. I have processes. I don't want to. I know that this is coming over, from Asia, and it's big over there, and Whatnot's been around and it's big, and I need to get it together. So I have signed up to get trained and do a Poshmark live. We'll see if I like it or not. But I'm curious kind of how the back end of it is what makes me nervous. How are they going to get all these people in to do it? And I know on Whatnot they do, right? That's what they do. But to me, it seems like a lot of scheduling for Poshmark and working the kinks out and getting people in. Did they have any idea on when they think it would be rolled out to everybody?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So there was 2 different sessions on the demo for Posh live shows. And I don't know if the session in the ballroom qualified for this, or not the ballroom, but the breakout room. I did the last one. It was in the ballroom, and it doubled as your training. So there is a mandatory training they make you take.
Yeah.
And because it was the second session, not the first. So yeah, I guess the smaller session in the breakout room would have qualified for it. You can then schedule your first show. Your first show has to be scheduled. Beyond that, you can do it at your leisure on your own around your schedule. You could just pop on, go live, or whatever. But they were
you can just pop on and go live. You don't have to schedule it out.
Your first one is scheduled.
Oh, because I was thinking you had to figure out a schedule with them and
So for the very first one, since I was the second session, the entire month of October was already booked out for beta for new sellers
for your first show. But then once then you
Correct.
can do them whenever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't even scheduled my first show. I've been approved. I did training. I'm good to go, but they haven't opened it up, and they said they'll let us know when they open up more. So, and there is an email, I believe, if you have questions about it. It was, I got to double check it, but I think it was poshshows@poshmark.com, but I have to double check that before you go spamming them and emailing them. So yeah, there's a direct.
Someone send an email to that and see if you get a response, or if it's.
I already did, because I said, hey, actually, let me confirm. You guys talk. I will look it up.
Yes, let us know in the chat. And this is because you've done some of them, Karina, right? Have you done one?
I haven't done Posh shows, but I do Whatnot.
Okay. Well, so they're saying they want to see a best practice video. So, I mean, just a live sale best practice video would be some great content for you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if you guys follow Ashley Wheeler. She's here on YouTube too. She's done both, and I know because I roomed with her for this Posh Fest. I'm also going to see her tomorrow because she lives an hour and a half away from me. But she is going to be putting a video up about that, and she was one of the first people to get onto Posh shows. She's killing it on Whatnot. So follow Ashley Wheeler. I'll put it in the chat if you guys want to, if you guys aren't already following her. But she's gonna post some stuff. I don't feel like I have enough experience, and I don't want to give you guys false information or anything like that. So once I have a little bit more under my belt, then I'll definitely make a video. But yeah, she's a good person to follow for now.
Confirmed that email. Posh shows with an S at the end at poshmark.com.
Okay, Posh shows at poshmark.com.
Yep.
Okay, I'm putting that in the chat as well. So if people want to email questions there. So that was the big, did anything come out of the hackathon besides Posh shows?
They're going to pay faster.
They're what?
They're going to start releasing payment faster.
So like on Mercari, how you can do an instant payout and you pay $2, Poshmark's going to offer that now too.
After the 3-day?
Well, after they accept the order.
Okay, so they're not rolling that faster. You getting your payment. So where it's like you can send to your bank and it takes a day or two.
You can get it instantly, but you pay $2.
Oh, okay. But you still have to wait the 3 days or for them to accept it.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. I did hear, I don't know if this was the hackathon or not, but what I heard was they're changing back the search algorithm to what it was. That was the big thing that social media. Yes. That was the big thing that came out of social media. So I don't know if anybody wants to talk to that, if there's anything to indulge more into since you guys were there.
That's what I was going to say. I was muted before, but I said when they made that announcement, the entire ballroom went wild. So it was a big deal.
Did it? So can someone talk to, because I think this happened, I took the summer off, and I think the change in search happened like maybe in the spring, late spring. And then it went into the summer. So I wasn't really paying that much attention to know what happened. And my Posh sales were actually better year over year this summer than they were last year. So it wasn't whatever happened wasn't really impacting me. So I'm not completely knowledgeable in what happened. Do you guys know?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nina.
No, I was going to say, from what I saw and heard, I think they basically changed the search results to where it listings with shorter titles were actually getting bumped up instead of which was, I think Poshmark used to have previously, how many characters did they have up to? I think it was only 40, and then they bumped it up to 80.
Yeah, it wasn't as much as eBay because you cross-listed.
Right. And I think that was one of the things that everyone noticed, that the very short title listings were getting bumped up. And it was really bad because you would have something like red dress at the top of search results. And that was a consistent thing that people were complaining about. So I'm hoping that with this change, people who actually work on good titles are bumped back up to the top of search results.
I feel like they were trying to cater to the general novice public with that. Mm-hmm. And when I was saying that one bikini 6-figure seller, when I was looking at her titles, it was like blue triangle bikini. And I was like, how is this chick making 6 figures? You know?
Search. Yeah.
So last year at Posh Fest, when they were doing the virtual one last year, they had a Google person talking about like SEO. And they literally told us to make our listings like a random person, like person who doesn't know much about fashion, a non-reseller was searching. And that's what regular people search. They search blue triangle bikini. They're not saying like blue linen, like all the descriptive words that we do. Exactly. So they wanted to make it easier for the average person. But I will say
the Google person was saying this?
Yeah, and I did a whole recap video. It's on my YouTube channel. Sorry to plug.
Everyone plug away. If you guys have things, and on that note, everyone's social media is in my description down below. Feel free to plug away. That is part of you guys being here as well.
But yeah, the YouTube person was explaining, like she was saying, use tags, use keywords, but like literally type your description the way that a regular person would search, because that's how it was going to show up on the feed. I feel like a lot of people didn't catch that. So when everyone was saying, okay, shorten your titles, it's because they told us to do it. They told us to make these lame titles. But anyway, they were rolling out the new algorithm, but with a test group A and a test group B. So you must have been in the group where the algorithm did not change, and that's why you didn't experience anything different. But for those of us who are in the other side of it, my sales plummeted. So it was, I'm happy to know that it's back, but because of that, I went onto other platforms. I opened my store. I did other things to kind of recoup that money that I was losing on Poshmark.
And I've heard a lot of people say that. And I think I was talking about this in maybe a last session a couple of weeks ago on a live. The struggle that I have with Poshmark is they can't make up their mind. They want, like, right? And this search thing is exactly what it is. They want to be for the casual seller. We don't want to compete with eBay. We want to make it easy. We want to be for the casual everyday seller, blah, 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 blah. And then they roll out these features and resellers hate it. Well, resellers are the ones bringing the money in. Right. And then they're like, oh, just kidding, which, like, I don't care. I don't care. It's your business. Do what you want. If you want to be for the everyday seller and you want it to be red triangle bathing suit, have at it, Poshmark. But they go back and forth and they can't consistently make decisions on, I mean, this is a perfect example. And I think honestly, their shareholders, because now that they're public, are getting a little frustrated with it. You'll see their stock is continuing to go down. So it'll be interesting to continue to watch this. I think in the past, since they've gone public, they are making more decisions for resellers away from their like original plan of, because we make the money, right? Like casual sellers aren't going in and sharing their closet 12 times a day. Yeah. They don't even know that you have to share your closet, right? They put something up there and they do it. So that'll be interesting. They said the search was changing this weekend, right? Did anyone notice sales change this weekend for them?
I wasn't sharing my closet this weekend, so I don't know.
You noticed, Randy?
Yeah, I'm still in Texas.
Okay.
I'm still here. And I've noticed, like, I've had probably $300 plus sales pop through since I left Posh Fest, doing nothing. So I do have, I do use a seller assistant. So, I mean, they're sharing for me and stuff. But yeah, it's been decent. And then I wanted to piggyback on something that Per Diem Thrift said. She was talking about how people missed that portion of that search that they're now going back to the original way. Talking about Google and talking about the people that come in from Google and speak at Posh Fest or the YouTube folks. I sat in on the trends session, and maybe this is a common known thing. I didn't know it. I know about Terapeak and eBay, and I know about Sellhound and the fetch feature to look up comps. I know how to use the filter on Poshmark, the filter on eBay for solds, but I did not know about trends.google.com. So they did talk about that in that. And like I said, I've been doing this since probably 2014. Somehow along the way, I missed that. And it's a major thing that you can use to see what searches are trending. And, you know, I sell what I want. And maybe that's my flaw and why I'm not hitting the money that I want to be hitting. I've got to be selling what the people want. So that will be an asset that will help me out a little more.
Yeah, and I put that in the chat as well. I think I've watched a video. It's probably an old video, because that's kind of an old hack. It's been around. They've made it better as time goes on. But even like with YouTube, they tell you to like do this search, the analytics in the search, to find titles that people are searching.
That was all new to me. And then they were talking about if you put it in parentheses, that's like a power hack, that it's an exact search term then, as opposed to bringing up like search terms. So I don't know. If I didn't know, maybe somebody else doesn't know.
Yes, I appreciate it. And the Thrifty brought us saying, oh yeah, I had no idea either until I watched a different recap video.
Yep. It's so funny that you say that though, because like the past two virtual ones, I've made recap videos talking about specifically the trends because I feel like that's the most valuable information. But then I did go to the trends this time, and I was like, they're saying the same thing every single year. And I was just like, why can't they like share other information? But I'm glad to know that it's helping people. But kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, Poshmark needs to kind of like spread out a little bit on what they're teaching and give different advice, or I don't know, post about it more online and on their blog or on their social media to kind of help us. Because if you didn't know and you've been selling for a long time, then that just proving that they're not really helping as much as they could.
Totally.
Yes. Well, and if most of who's coming is their first time coming, they can say the same thing every year because they weren't here the past 2 years.
That's
right?
True.
And not to say that it's a great business plan or helpful, but it makes sense. And a lot of that stuff doesn't really like the trends change, obviously, right?
Can I vent?
Yeah. Yeah. Have at it, girl.
Can I swear?
I don't think. Can you?
It might ruin your monetization if she does.
Yes, that's the thing.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna. It wasn't a bad swear. It was like a medium swear. But anyway, the thing that makes me angry instead of the flank me off is what I was gonna say. They ask you to speak, and they ask you, like, for me, maybe the speakers are different. All these closet consultants, it frosts that they do not comp your entry to the festival. They ask you to speak, and they don't give you a ticket. They were supposed to also offer $100 stipend. Never saw that come through. So that's
guys. I mean, if you're willing to indulge, because Karina and Nina, you guys were speakers as opposed to closet consults. Did you guys get? Because I've heard that they.
Well, I got in free. I did get a ticket to the. Yeah, I actually did get a ticket to. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have gone. I wasn't planning on going because I'm sorry, $300 is a lot of money. So if I wasn't
that you already know.
Exactly. Yeah, because I've been doing this, just like Randy. I've been doing this since 2014, so I already know everything. Or not. I don't know everything, but I feel like I'm at a point where I don't need to go to Posh Fest to hear the same things that I've heard in the past. And so I know I spoke in 2020, and that was at the virtual one, and they paid me $75, but I didn't get that till about a week or two after Posh Fest. So I just assume that the 100 will be coming, but it's gonna take them a week or two because
Was it a Posh credit or was it?
Was it what? I'm sorry.
Sorry, was it a Posh credit or because I got something? I spoke last year and I don't remember honestly. Was it a credit or was it like straight cash?
It was put in your balance in Poshmark where you could use it or you could transfer it out of your.
So it wasn't necessarily a credit, but it was a Posh.
Yeah.
That is greedy that they don't.
The only way that it even worked for me, I wasn't going to go to Houston. And I've talked to a lot of like veteran resellers, and if it's somewhere cool that they want to go anyways, they might spring. Like if it was Miami or Vegas or, a sunny beach place that they've wanted to go to, they piggyback it and, go to a session that maybe they're interested in. And then that's it. For me, the only reason it worked is because I have hotel points for my freelance job. And I made it happen in the flight for free. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to see what this is about. And then you have the endorsement of Posh for your, whatever. You have some insider information to blog about or, whatever. But every time I go, I just think of how it could be so much better. And it's my family produces trade shows. So it literally drives me insane. So, but
do you feel like it's been getting like I've only done the virtual last year. That's my only comparison. I know, Karina, you've gone to a couple. Nina, do you feel like it's getting better or it's just kind of the same thing over and over?
A little bit the same is my opinion.
So I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Okay.
But all I can say is it's better than before.
I agree.
So they are working on it. It just takes time.
Well, because I feel like I'm in a Brady Bunch box because of people like this one who know the truth. When she speaks, she can add value, whether she can say it or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it is leveling up a little, because if you're a seller and you've been on the new side, you just want more information. So now when you move to speaker, you can actually give that information,
Yeah. That's interesting.
Oh, I do want to say something though that I brought it up because Randy mentioned it. I talked to Manish and I told him my issues about, hey, like, this isn't really for us. Like, this isn't for the kind of resellers that we are. He was like, I know it's different this year. I'm sorry. He's like, I think we're going to try to make it in a better city next year to entice more people. And he said, maybe Vegas. I would have way more fun in Las Vegas, and it's a lot closer to me. I know a lot of people would go just to go to Vegas. So if that sounds exciting, start saving your money now.
I live there and I would love to go in my backyard.
I feel like I still would struggle to go because you don't get any anything out of it. I mean, mine is like, it would be nice. Mine would be the networking, right? It would be, honestly, it would be from a social media standpoint. Going to Poshfest, being able to make content around it, possibly speaking at it, meeting other content creators and like that. As far as going to Poshfest to learn anything, because the things that I would care about, the hackathon, they put on YouTube, although I couldn't hear it. So maybe like that would be helpful. Where like the eBay live, I felt like the sessions that I went to there, it was all virtual this year. But there I felt like there were things that I was like, okay, that's cool.
A little more meaty would be good. Or divide it out, like newbies and rookies. And
yes, I would love that.
Yes. And that's what eBay does, that they have like seller-led sessions, and then they have like learning training sessions from eBayers, and they have like beginner level, intermediate, and then advanced. But I will even say that the eBay Open, I think they did a poll and it was still like 70% of people, it was their first time. Because I think that's part of the struggle too, as resellers, we're like, we already know it all. Even if we don't know it all, we think that we're like experts and we think that we know it all already, and we're not going to spend our time and money going and doing it.
But see, I felt like eBay Open, I got a lot of information that I didn't already know. Even being on eBay since, let me see, when I signed up on eBay since 2016. Yeah, I've been on there since 2016, but I still felt like eBay Open gave us a lot of information. Like your session, Sarah, was amazing. It was great. And I got a lot of information out of that. Plus there was another one that talked about promoted listings and some other things. And I just wish Poshmark would dive more into analytics and how to boost sales by doing so. I don't know. I'm with y'all on wanting sessions for beginners and sessions for, seasoned sellers.
Yeah. So Nina actually helped me on eBay. When I first started, I used to message you probably once a day, Nina, right? I'm like, what do I do about this? And how do I do this? And if you guys did miss, I know this isn't about eBay, but my eBay Open session is on my channel. If you guys wanted to learn, it was on tools and analytics. So if you guys wanted to watch that, you can watch that. A plug for myself. So what other things kind of came out? We probably have another 15 minutes. If people have questions in the chat, feel free. Everyone's social media is linked down below. So if you're watching this in the replay, you can send them a DM if you have a question specific for someone, or always leave comments down below. I will answer if I know them, or I will make sure that you get pointed to the right person. But if you're watching live with us, feel free if there's any specific questions about Poshfest. But if you have any questions in general for resellers, I think everyone sells on multiple platforms here. So you can definitely ask any questions that you guys have. But what, like, anything else that we're missing, best things that came out of it, things that you learned?
QR codes was one.
QR codes?
Yeah.
For shipping, right?
That's the QR codes they announced, and I think some people already got this. They're rolling it out slowly as they do everything else, and we can now we can now download QR codes that we can take to the post office. They'll scan, print out a label, and we can ship it out that way. And I will say that I've used it on eBay a few times, just when I'm going somewhere and I know I'm not going to be home, and I will take stuff with me to ship. And that's always a good option for that. But on days like today, on Monday, when I've got 40 things to ship out, there's no way that I'm going to download a QR code for every single item that I have to ship out.
Yeah, I talking on what the Thrifty Broad just commented, I don't think it's meant for us. But I will say that it will help all of the non-resellers, the people who are just doing this casually, hopefully get them to ship their stuff out faster. Because what I'm learning is a lot of people don't have printers. So somebody can take the item that they just sold to the post office, use the free supplies, get the label printed, not spend any extra money, and drop it off hopefully faster. I'm assuming that that's why they did it. But yeah, definitely not for us.
So just to clarify, you don't have to print out a shipping label at all. You have the item, like you said, you can take it to, I'm just clarifying for people who are new to this. you can take it to the post office, and most post offices, ours doesn't have a lot of free supplies out because they want you to order it online. But if they do have the free supplies out, then you can do it there, and then you just show them the QR code, and so you can get around shipping without a printer, essentially. Which is nice for the casual people, or sometimes like technical difficulties, friends. Like I've had it where my Rolo like crashes and I'm like, what am I going to do? I think it would definitely be helpful. Unless we have something else to say about that, I would love to know more about what they said on Google's trends.
I was going to say, I can answer that. I saw that question was kind of eyeing it up. It was somebody from Poshmark and then somebody from Google that were kind of going through not only how to use that website that Sarah dropped in the comments for Google Trends, but what was trending. And they talked about the life cycle of a trend and basically how Y2K is downtrending and on a 5-year kind of high that it's been on. And it's still there. So, I mean, still pick up Y2K, but they're talking about this cracked me up. I graduated in the year 2000. So they're talking about 2010s are now in and coming in. And I'm like, what is 2010s? That's so weird to me. But they were talking about like ballet flats and think like Zooey Deschanel and the New Girl and pleated skirts and like knee-high boots, like right under the knee instead of over the knee. And they were showing a bunch of pictures of 2010s trends and how to look more into that using Google Trends. So I just thought that was a riot. I was cracking up the whole time.
Well, and what you had mentioned that you had tagged me in a couple of things, and I think I saved them to one of my stories on Instagram, maybe. But if not, I think Randy, did you save them on your Instagram?
Yeah, they're all in my camera roll. So
okay. So Randy will, she has them on her social media, but she was tagging me in some of the trends as well. And what's interesting is, so I used to be a hairdresser, and you would see the same thing with hair. You would see all these crazy, like the celebrities start it, right? Or you see like these fashion shows and they have these new trends, and it takes multiple years before it gets to like us, right? And then it's a couple of years with the mainstream public until you start seeing new trends again with the high fashion people. And so I think the 2010s are probably maybe starting to come in, you're going to start seeing them with celebrities and in runways. For us as resellers, that's going to be a couple years, right? I think the Y2K, at least for me, I'm still seeing a lot of Y2Ks sales as well. And people from people I know personally, they're just starting to get on the band. Yeah. Like, I mean, we're just starting to get out of our skinny jeans and put on bootcut jeans again. So I think there is still some time, but I think it's definitely good to keep on the forefront of what
they were talking about. The coasts tend to adopt it quicker, and then it makes its way in.
Mm-hmm. And I'm in the middle of the country, so it takes us like 10 years to like. eBliss is here. It was a great event for sure. Learned a bunch and had a great time. If you guys don't know eBliss, we'll do a little plug for them as well. I think Randy uses them.
I love them.
It's like a fulfillment center here in Colorado. I've been to their fulfillment center. They do a lot of eBay stuff as well, like meetups and everything. But you can, if you don't like shipping or you don't have the storage space for it, you send it to them and then they ship it for you. So it's a great solution if you like the shopping and the listing, but not so much the other stuff. Or if you're like Randy and you travel, right? So it's nice.
Your house back space.
Yes. Or your house back, or you don't want a storage unit or whatever it is. So if you guys are interested in that. So we talked about best things that came out of it. Were there other, Karina, you were talking about your session a little bit. Let's get into like tips that you have for people for social media, because I think as the lives become more, that's social media selling, right? Whether you have a YouTube channel or Instagram, or if you're going to get on that bandwagon, you're having to figure out social media and leverage that. So any good tips, whether you share them or other people on this stage, that you have to share with people?
Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest complaints or like issues that people have when it comes to the Posh shows or creating content in general, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube, is that they don't want to show their face, that they're, shy, they're camera shy. And here's my thing, you don't have to. There are so many Instagram accounts that offer resellers that never show their face. They only show hauls. They show, aesthetic pictures or whatever. And you can still do like voiceovers. You can do video content that doesn't show your face. You can even do a live sale without showing your face. Just put the, and you can start off with that and kind of you know, get used to that, and then when you do feel comfortable to put yourself on there, you can. But definitely, like, and I'm sure Nina can talk about this too, like, I spoke at the 2019 Posh Fest, and I didn't really know anyone when I got there. I knew them from Instagram, but I didn't know them in person. And then now to go, and it's like I know every we have connections. I have all these relationships, and it's because of social media. It's because of my YouTube channel that I've been able to kind of like get out there a little bit more. So if you are a newer person in the community, hop on, connect with other people, just watch. You don't even have to have a channel, just watch other people's videos and comment. And I trust me, it means a lot to us when you do comment on our stuff. And we love building those relationships. You can meet more people, so that whenever there is some sort of meetup, whether it's eBay or Poshmark, or you know, you conduct something on your own, you'll be able to kind of just go for that. And like, I have a lot of friends who actually stayed in the house that I stayed in this past weekend who didn't buy a ticket for Posh Fest. They didn't go. They just came to Houston to go to, they bought a ticket for the Posh party. And then while we were all at the conference, they went sourcing and like did all these fun things and hung out with each other. So they still all got to see everybody that they wanted to see, but they knew they weren't going to gain anything from the festival. So they just did what they wanted to do and still made it worth their while.
That's interesting. And I think too, because like nowhere that we sell on has the analytics. You know, I'm an analytics person to tell us if our social media is actually driving sales. There's no way for us to know. We can kind of start to gauge like, hey, I did a big reel and I got more sales that day, but there's nowhere yet that shows us, at least that I'm on Poshmark or eBay, that shows us if there is correlation. But I think the opportunities that you can gain from it, whether it's speaking, right? Most of us have been found from social media. Even if you have a small social media, they find you on social media and what you're about and a little bit about your background. And the relationships like you made, like I said, I've never met Nina in person. She was like holding my hand through eBay. There was a handful of people that I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, how do I do shipping? How do I, and you know, and I think I'm trying to think if I've had a bad experience reaching out to someone. And even like the big ones that have 100,000 followers, I have asked questions and they've gotten back. It's not always timely as I would like because they have a lot of questions, but every single person that I've asked a question for on social media about reselling has gotten back to me and given me advice, whether I think it's good or not. But everyone is so nice, and it's a great way to like build that community. And as you're learning, ask the questions, because we all have so much to share and learn from each other, for sure. Let's see. Deborah is saying, I took some time off. Now I'm getting ready back to crank it back up. So thank you guys all for sharing. I'm a little disappointed that Posh Fest, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot that came out of it. The lives. I think the lives is big, but they announced that before Posh Fest.
I know. I was like, why wouldn't you just wait until Posh Fest to announce it? But I don't know.
My theory is they announced it the night or the day of eBay Open, and eBay was announcing that they were doing their lives.
Oh.
Maybe they were forced to kind of blow their big reveal.
That would be my guess, and I could be completely wrong, but I know I did like an eBay Open live the first day of eBay Open, and people in the chat were talking about Poshmark lives.
Oh.
So it worked. I mean, whether that was their intent or not, it worked because they were like trying to. But I thought the same thing. I was like, why didn't they wait a week? Like, that would be a great hackathon reveal.
Yeah.
All right.
What was the other thing? It's not that exciting, but now they'll make a noise when you make a sale. Your app will make a noise. It's just so funny because I feel like people were asking for that like 4 or 5 years ago.
People want to hear the cha-ching.
Yeah, but I met this woman who works for another company. It's called Benny, and they're like an extension. I'll talk a little bit, or I'm putting out a vlog tomorrow, and I talk a little bit about it in there. But anyway, she's like a software technician or software engineer, and she was like so confused. She's like, that would take me like 2 hours to code that into the app. She's like, why did it take them so many years to implement that? I'm like, girl, wrong person to ask. I have no idea. But yeah, it's just really interesting that was their big announcement. One of the big announcements.
Yeah. And I keep my phone on vibrate. So like
no cha-ching for you.
Because people talk about the cha-ching on eBay, and I don't think I've ever heard it because my phone's on vibrate all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think I actually took notes of some things that were interesting to me when they were talking about just going over I guess, how you would say, analytics. Some of the things I wrote down were that I was like, they were pushing copies. You know, when did the option to copy came out? Was it like 2 years ago? I want to say. Well, they said that new listings sell better than copies, like 2 times more.
Oh.
That was something. So it kind of struck me as that was an odd thing to say because they pushed copying listings,
And they
but
created
now,
a feature for it.
yeah, and then they came out and said that fresh listings sell 2 times better than the copied listings, and that the reposhed listings sell 30% faster than fresh listings. Now, I don't know how true that is, but
What makes it repost?
You
You
can
know,
actually
when-
go in and reposh something, and it uses the other person's pictures.
Oh, like if you bought something and then yes. That sells better?
That's what they said, and I got that down, and I'm like, to me, now I know they have this information, and it's probably true, but I don't know how often people are reposhing items. That's the thing. Like, you would have to give me the numbers. Okay, how many people are actually reposhing listings every day? Are they really selling better, or is it that things that are being reposhed are really popular or trending items?
Well, and I wonder too if the reposhing. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Nina. Yeah, if the reposhing is like we think as resellers, right? Not everyone on Posh is a reseller, but people who are going to reposh is going to be someone who probably has good photos, has a good, like it's a good listing. And so it is probably going to sell better than them going on and taking it on their carpet with their dog in the background and right. So like for me, no. Is it probably going to sell better because I can take good photos? No. But if for Poshmark as a whole, I could see that. What's interesting to me is the copy feature. So there's some back end that it's supposed to be a completely new listing though, but they're doing that's interesting to me. But then you have to go in and make a whole new listing, and who's going to do that?
Yeah, that was one of the things, and then they also announced that we could now that they're going to do saved searches. That anything you search for, you can save up to 30 searches.
And like it'll tell you if something new comes.
That part I don't know. I was just assuming that, say for example, I was searching for Gucci black belt, that I could go back to that search at any time to see what new listings are up. But that's a good point. You know, I wonder if it will let me know that, hey, there's 20 new Gucci belts that have just been listed. That would actually be a good feature.
That would be very helpful. I use that all the time on eBay when I'm shopping. For something that I want. You can save it as a search and then you get notifications, and you can tell as a seller when someone had US saved as a search. When you list it and it sells like full price right away, you're like, okay, someone was like keeping an eye out for that. So that would be helpful as a seller, right? If it let them know if that search was being listed too.
But they like announced that last Posh Fest, and it's just coming out now, like a year later.
I mean, things take time.
I don't know.
I think
I am going to say this just because someone asked it in the comments, and Karina did answer, but I just want to make sure if other people have the question as well. They're nervous about live sales. Do you need a special camera or equipment? And you don't. You just need, and this is for most things, your smartphone is probably the better camera than most things that you can buy out there. A lot of YouTubers just use their cell phones. So you can just use your smartphone. I haven't done the training yet, but from talking to people, I know, well, Randy, you've done the training. Karina, I don't remember. Did you do the training yet, or you're waiting?
Not yet.
Okay.
it's pretty basic, and I actually did take a picture of their checklist, so I can post that somewhere and tag you, Sarah, so it's around for all your audience to see. But I mean, it's common sense, kind of like picture stuff. If you don't have lighting, use natural light, or if you want to do, you don't really need a background remover, obviously it's alive, but there are like blur out background features depending what you're using if you've got a busy background or something. So just lighting and speak clearly. Make sure your microphone's not muffled or covered. Tripods they recommend so it doesn't look like, you know, Blair Witch Project. But I did hear that I'm trying to remember what they were revealing about Posh. The beta is kind of finicky. For example, it's not bundling multiple orders, and that's just going to be a kink for beta. When they roll it out, hopefully that will be fixed, because that's one of the big things with Whatnot that's huge, you know? Yeah. So there was that. They were also talking about, this is something I liked on Posh Lives versus Whatnot, is they're going to have the ability for you to flip the camera both ways.
You can do that on Whatnot.
Oh, can you? I haven't figured that out. I thought it was only forward. I didn't think I could flip it back at me. Thank you for telling me. So they announced it, and to me, somebody that didn't know how to use it on Whatnot, to me, it seemed like Posh actually like got something right on that, but nope, never mind.
But it's still helpful, right? Like if you have things. And what I like, so you had tagged me in it as well. And Randy, if you want to post things on your stories and tag me, I'll put them on my stories as well. It'll only be for 24 hours. So if you're watching this for 24 hours, check out my stories. But I'll save it in like a story, a highlight on my Instagram as well. So if you're watching this later, you can come to my stories and see it, or to Randy's. There was a point to this. What was I going to say? Poshmark Lives. Oh, see, now I lost my train of thought.
Bundling, forward-facing camera, lighting.
No, it was something that you shared. And what I like about it, because what I've been worried about and not jumped on the Whatnot bandwagon, is it's a whole new process that I have to do. And y'all know me, if you watch my channel, I'm big on processes. I'm big on efficiencies. I'm like, I don't want to add a whole new thing. It's not just a live sale. It's a whole new back end. It's a whole new Poshmark. It has to be a listing, right? Mm-hmm. You have to make it not for sale. I haven't done the training yet, but from what Randy shared, you have to have a listing, and I'm like, oh cool, I already have Poshmark listings. Like I already have that process down. And you make it not for sale, and then you can just share straight from your listing. And so for me, that's very alluring, because I already do all of that. I can hop on. I obviously don't have a problem talking on camera. I can hop on for an hour with things that I already have listed, and it doesn't add a lot of processes to me, as well as the back end of when you make a sale. I use the Poshmark sales report to, look at what sells and to do my taxes and all of that. And so that's very alluring to me, but you did have to make a listing. It doesn't have to be like the SEO, right? Like, cause you're not doing a listing, but you do have to have it as a listing like you would for Poshmark.
So they're adding something where, because I think right now everything has to be preloaded onto your store before you can start your show, and then you can only sell the things that you've pre-listed. On Whatnot, you can add something on the go. Like I do a lot of shows where I'm just walking around my consignment store and I'm like, hey, what do you guys want? And somebody gives me a request and I show them, and then I can make the listing right there. Right now on Poshmark shows, you cannot do that. But they said that they will be rolling it out so that you can create a listing live while you're doing. So say you forget something, or some people do like unboxings and they don't know what's going to be in there, so they can't make a listing for it, but you can just make a listing then and there. So I know it doesn't go with your systems, and it is a little bit of
for other people too. Yeah,
for some people who maybe don't have the time to. And I know that's a big thing about live sales too, is there's a lot of work prior to that you have to put into a show. Some people don't do that, and some people just do it as they go, and you kind of just find what works for you, and it's okay either way. I've seen success both ways.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this rolls out on all the platforms. I know Whatnot has really taken off. It makes me just wonder if it's like the new trend, or if this is like the long-term new reselling.
I'm hoping that because Poshmark started as a like more fashion forward site, that it's not going to be a race to the bottom as far as cheap starts. I mean, that always is going to get traction, but even in their example, they had higher starting auction prices. So if you're selling a pair of shoes that would retail for $100 plus new, and you've got it listed at 50, maybe you start the auction at 50 or 40 or something that's not $1 or $5 or 10.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that maybe the fashion forwardness of Poshmark kind of carries through the auctions, but that could be wishful thinking. We'll see.
I mean, and granted, we're in beta, but the couple people that I've talked to in beta also sell on Whatnot, and they said so far they're seeing a higher average sale price on Poshmark. But this is the beta, and this is like people are going for those new, you know, like I've never done a Whatnot. I've never been to a Whatnot show. I don't, but Poshmark announced it, and I was like, oh, I want to go see it, right? Like, so we'll see if it's like long-term traction or just like in beta, everyone's really excited, or if this is a long-term thing. But I think I'm with you. I think Poshmark, because that's kind of their thing, I think it would hopefully long-term stay that way. All right. Well, we are right at an hour. Unless anyone else has anything to show, I have children to pick up. My alarm is about to go off in about 30 seconds. So everyone's contact information is down below their Instagram. Like I said, there's lots of really helpful information on all of their social medias. But if you have questions, what I tell you? If you have questions in my eBay Open presentation, if you guys are going to watch it or haven't watched it, I was doing it at this exact time and it went off on my watch, and I'm like in the middle of presenting and I like look down at my watch and turn it off. So if you guys catch me doing that, let me know in the comments. But everyone has been amazing. Lots of really great information here. I'm excited to do the Poshmark lives. So definitely follow. I know Randy's going to be doing them. Karina, Nina, I don't know if you said that you were going to hop on that bandwagon. You were kind of watching the trends.
Yeah, I got the email and I didn't sign up. I kind of wish I did now, but I'm just kind of sitting back and seeing how this all goes. But I did sign up for Whatnot yesterday. I applied to sell on there, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, keep us posted because I'm interested too. I signed up for Poshmark Lives. I have my training, I think, next week. So follow all of us for content around the live selling as well as just general reselling content. Everyone's information is down below. Thank you guys so much for joining in the chat and have a wonderful Monday. I usually do this on Wednesday and I was like, wait a minute.
Happy Monday.
Yes, we made it.